welcome to Out of the Box Radio with me, your host, Christine Blasdale. Out of the Box Radio is a weekly podcast of audible ear candy dedicated to bringing a fresh perspective on this thing that we call life. And each and every week, we're going to be diving into the topics that matter most with lively conversations on issues such as health, wellness, and transformational healing, all with the goal of creating a better world and becoming a happier human being. I will be your tour guide for this epic adventure, and each and every week we're going to be embarking on a journey with the ultimate goal being transformation to our highest potential. And now, let's get out of the box. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Out of the Box with Christine. I am your host, Christine Blasdale, and I'm really happy that you tuned in today because we have a very special program. There's a brand new book out. It's called The Silver Lining of Cancer. 13 courageous women share their inspirational stories after a life-changing diagnosis. And I'm really happy to have with me today two of the authors and two survivors of cancer. I have first on the line, we have Tracey Ehman, who is a wife and a mother of two and a social media strategist who tripled her business while going through chemotherapy and radiation. Because of her ability to concentrate on the positive, even in adversity, she had been driven to share her story and provide a vehicle to help others also share their stories. And that's why she came up with the idea of The Silver Lining of Cancer, the book. Also with me today is Karen Strauss. And Karen has worked in publishing for more than 30 years and has held management and marketing positions at major publishing houses and is the founder of Hybrid Global Publishing, which helps authors, speakers, and entrepreneurs get their own message out by writing and publishing a book. Ladies, I am so very happy to have you. Tracey and Karen, thank you so very much for joining us on Out of the Box with Christine today to talk about not only this book, but also your own personal story. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Christine. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Now, I really love this. First of all, I really love the title of this book, The Silver Lining of Cancer. 13 courageous women share their inspirational stories after a life-changing diagnosis. The silver lining of cancer. I'm sure that some people might say, "What silver lining of cancer?" Right? Tracey, this was sort of your this was your idea, right? This was your baby, so to speak.
It was, yes. As I went through my cancer treatment, I definitely wasn't seeing the silver lining myself. But as I kind of looked back on things, as years kind of passed on, I realized that there were definitely some silver linings. I have the most incredible children that are, and they're young adults now that are so empathetic that I never went through that. The teens' issues. They were there watching, supporting, and just really being aware and very cognizant of, what's going on in people's lives. So, they've taken that and are like that with everybody. So I love seeing that. My husband's always been supportive and kind of putting things into that whole, what do we want to worry about right now? Let's not worry about what we can't control at the moment. Let's worry about, let's deal with what we're dealing with right now and then move forward. And that sort of helped keep me on my, straight and narrow as I was going through my treatment.
Well, and the idea to have the stories of these 13 women, was that something that you knew? When did you know that you were going to be writing this book?
I bought the silverliningofcancer.com website, I think 5 years ago, because I knew that as I was talking to people and I started to maybe share a little bit about my story, because I was very private while I was going through it. But as I was starting to share, people were like, well, so-and-so needs to hear your story. And this would really help my girlfriend. And this would help, and I was hearing that. And I'm like, okay, wait a second. I may not think my story is any different than anyone else's, but if I can have a positive impact in somebody's life, then it's something that's who I am. I always want to like rise people or help raise people up and support others. It's just, that's my innate need to do, right? That's what makes me happy. So the silver lining of cancer came about there. And I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to go, but I figured that my story in itself, I did not want to have it be a large book onto itself. I wanted to be able to give other people an opportunity to share their stories, and that's sort of how it came to be.
And as we know, everybody experiences, life from a different perspective, and they may not have the same resources that each of these women have. They might have a different family relation. They might be alone. They might have a large group of family members supporting them. So it's really nice that you did offer that to 13 different perspectives on getting the diagnosis of cancer and how they dealt with that, relatively in a very open and honest way in this book. And you have, for our listeners, why don't you give us a little bit of a rundown, if you don't mind, a little bit of a background. We want them to get the book, of course, The Silver Lining of Cancer. We wanted them to get the book, but explain to our listeners a little bit about your own personal journey with cancer, and how you relied so much, obviously, on your family, but what it was when you got that diagnosis. What went through your mind at that moment?
My goodness. Okay, I will share that with you. I just want to put this in as well, is that some of the ladies who shared their story in this book are caregivers too. So, cancer impacts not just the person that has the disease. It impacts their family, their loved ones, everyone around them. So we wanted to make sure that we knew that everybody needed to be heard. And I just wanted to share that quickly. For me, it's like the absolute worst feeling. My mom is also in this book, 26 years ago, got diagnosed with breast cancer. And so it's been something that I kind of, you if it's in your family, you don't expect it's going to happen to you, but you're just a little bit more aware of the possibilities.
Correct.
And for me, there was, I regular checkups, nothing there, like literally nothing there, mammogram, nothing. And then a month later, I felt something, and it's kind of one of those things. It's like, when we're talking about tapping into your intuition, you just know. But you always need to get it confirmed to decide what their next steps might be. And so I went through, feelings that I'm sure that most people did go through. It's like, am I going to see my kids graduate? Am I going to be a grandmother? This wasn't in my plans. What did I do?
This really messes up my weekend.
Right. I think it did. But really just like how could this happen to me? I'm not doing anything that I shouldn't be, like just all these things. Right. And I think that's something that, everybody is going to deal with a diagnosis and their suggested treatments and whatever they're going to choose. And it has to be all about them. And I think that's one thing I learned as I went through, is that I needed to do things on my own terms. So I got as much information as I could, and I made my decisions on what I was going to do. And people are wonderful in giving you their thoughts on what they would do. And I probably was doing the same thing prior to that as well. But I know that until you're actually given a diagnosis, and depending on, like you said, where you are in your life, who your support network is, what kind of cancer, how far along, what your visions are for how your life is going to be moving towards the future. There's so many things that impact it. You have to really be your own self-advocate and really take control of your mindset as much as you can while going through this. Or at least, I'm saying you need to, but in my opinion, that's what helped me, was being able to do that.
Yes. Well, and there's so many things that are running through your mind, I'm sure. Now, now, while you were, my understanding too is the chapter that you have in the book, that while you were going through all of this, you were able to focus on still on work, and was that sort of something just to kind of to keep your energy, positive and feeling that you're, needed, and obviously you have your children, and your family, but you were able to also focus on. Can you talk about that aspect as well, the importance of that?
Yes, for me, it was awesome because I was an entrepreneur. So I'd worked in corporate for 15 years, and had I been working in corporate, definitely, benefits and so forth obviously would have been great. But at the same time, I would have been sent home with sick pay, and I would have been at home and solely concentrating on the fact that I was sick and how did my body do this to me, and concentrating on that. Whereas at that time, I just started. I think I was probably about 2 years into my own business, and I was, starting to meet new clients, and I actually brought on a large number of clients, but giving them the whole, this is what's going on to me. I know I'm going to go for chemo. I know I'm going to be down and out, for 72 hours every 3 weeks. So, I want you to know for sure, because you need to make the decision based on what's best for your business. But I want to let you know up front, this is how it's going to work until I get through my treatment. And nobody left. They said, okay, I'd be happy to work with you. And, I kind of go, okay, treatment's coming up. You need something done. It needs to be in by this time. Otherwise, I will talk to you on the other side,
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was good. I was being authentic, and I was advocating for myself on what I could possibly do to help them.
Those are good people. We like those
awesome
people.
Yes.
We like those people. And speaking of good people, also with us today is Karen Strauss. And I had mentioned she's been in publishing for, oh my goodness, decades and decades. And she's the founder of Hybrid Global Publishing. Karen, you're one of these of the 13 courageous women who share their story about having that diagnosis of cancer. You're one of the featured authors in this book as well, and I would love to have you, if you feel comfortable as well, telling our listeners a little bit about your story and your diagnosis.
Sure. So what Tracey said, about when
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly how I felt. That, that I'd had some leaking, I'd had some things that were not right with my body. And I was always religious about getting mammograms and taking care of my, of my health in that way. But I too kept getting, I would get a mammogram. That year, I think I got 4 mammograms, and then I got a sonogram. And nothing was coming up, and it was very weird. And they said, then, well, come back in 6 months. So I came back, and all of a sudden, they found some spots, and it was, I guess, in some ways not surprising. My breast surgeon calls it the sneaky kind of cancer. So that means it wraps the mammograms these days are still not technologically advanced to capture really small cancers. So what happens is it has to grow to a certain size until the mammogram and even the sonogram can actually see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's very frustrating. So they captured it, but I tell this story in my chapter where I went for the mammogram. They stopped me and they said, wait in the lobby, the waiting room, because we need to take more pictures of your breasts. And I just started freaking out, and I kept going up to the front desk and saying, well, when are you going to take me? And they said, soon. And 20 minutes goes by, and 25 minutes goes by. And finally, I just started to hyperventilate. I could not even deal. So I actually ran out of the doctor's office. I just ran and ran for several blocks to catch the bus so that I could go home. And thinking illogically to myself, if I don't actually hear the words, I don't have cancer.
Right.
So I'm going home, I'm putting my head under the cover, and I'm now getting like inundated with phone calls, which is the lab calling me back. You must come back. You must come back. It's urgent. And so, I put on my big girl pants. I called them, made an appointment for the next day, called my best friend who happens to be a midwife and handles women's health. And so she came with me, and, that's when they diagnosed. And it was the weirdest thing because it was a very aggressive cancer. So they found one in the duct and then 2 spots outside the duct and 1 spot that had already gone into my lymph node. And this was after 4 mammograms and 2 sonograms. And then it friggin' like within 6 months, all of a sudden it was all over. Mm-hmm. And but they did say they caught it early. And so, and basically my friend just shot into action, and we found a breast surgeon, we found an oncologist, and then once I had a plan of action, then I was able to function a lot better.
You felt better because there was a plan of action.
There was a plan, exactly. When you don't know, or when you go to this I go to this very dark place that the worst is going to happen. And so when I don't know or see a plan, I let my imagination take over. And sometimes that's not such a good thing.
Right. And then, so you did have the surgery. So you did have the surgery.
So I had a mastectomy on my right breast, and then I had a implant put in, but they put a temporary implant in because I was going to go through chemo and then radiation. So I did the chemo, and like Tracey, I had a business to run. Unlike Tracey, I don't have a husband or children, so I was very reliant actually on my friends, and it was amazing to me. And that's actually my silver lining, was learning how many supporters I really had, and how I could not handle my business and my. I have a house in Pennsylvania, and I have a co-op in New York City, and a dog, and all these things that I need to take care of, and I could not do that myself. And I finally had to recognize that I could not live my life alone. And so what was amazing to me was all of these people from the dog park especially, were calling me up and saying, I'm happy to walk Izzy. I'll take Izzy to the park. I'll cook you a meal, whatever it was. I found that people really, really wanted to help. And if I gave them a task, because people are more comfortable, a lot of people will say, let me know, I'd love to help you. Let me know. And then they don't do anything because they really don't know. So
right.
If I tell them, right? So if you tell them, then they know. So they would bring me soup, or I had a neighbor across the way who every night at 10 o'clock, he'd come in, check on me. If I needed him to walk Izzy, he'd walk Izzy. If I needed a joint, he'd give me a joint to ease my pain. That was awesome. It was like the 10 o'clock delivery. It was very cool. So that helped. We laughed a lot, helped me sleep, and we became fast friends. And I could just tell you stories about people who I barely knew. There was another woman who lived in my building, and also from the dog park. and she was a makeup artist for, commercials. And I had this big swanky Christmas party going out to Barnes and Noble. And there was no way I could do this myself. And she came over that night, and she put on full makeup with false eyelashes, brushed my hair, did everything, and made me look beautiful.
Oh,
And
awesome.
oh my God, it was awesome. It was right from her heart. And she even at some point said to me, I don't even know why I did that, because I'm not a particularly generous person. She said, but there was something about you that I needed to do that. And I just thought that was awesome.
Oh,
So
yes.
I mean, the kindness of people, you just talk about silver linings. You find it everywhere if you just ask.
Mhm.
That was my experience.
Well, and that was something that was different from you. I mean, because I know you. You are very independent. You're a very strong, independent woman, and so having to ask that may not come easy for some people. Having because a lot of us like to say that well, I'll get through it. I'll do it myself, and to actually come from a vulnerable place and say, you know what, I need help. That can be a challenge to people, and so that was something that I know that you experienced through this process, and how did that feel?
Well, at first it was very weird and difficult, and as you say, I don't like to feel vulnerable. I've not had good experiences when I have felt vulnerable, so I kind of put up a wall. And so, it started with my best friend, Susan, who was always there for me. She came to every appointment. A lot, what I didn't realize was, so you get diagnosed and you go to these doctor's office, and basically you have 30% capacity to actually listen to what they're saying. Because, basically you're saying to yourself, oh my God, I have cancer. Oh my God. And then that's all you hear. So yeah, you always need an advocate to bring with you. With a friend of mine who got diagnosed with lung cancer, I went with him and I asked the doctor, of course, if I could record it. But we recorded the session, and we all found that very helpful, because then you can go back and kind of really, I didn't realize you could do that, but you always need an advocate. And so it helped that, Susan was just always there. And my cousin was like always there, meaning that, she wasn't just calling me, she was showing up, and she was, taking me for a walk, or she was taking Izzy for a walk, or she was cooking me a meal. So, or helping me clean my house, whatever it was. So then it actually started to feel nice.
Which is, yeah.
Right. So then people just started, like, from the dog park. I tell a story in the book about, there was an amazing gentleman, who I knew slightly, didn't know him well. And he just called me up one day and he said, listen, let me take Izzy to the dog park. I'll pick him up at 5 o'clock. I'll have him out. I'll bring him back, so on and so forth. And he's an Oscar winner for the movie Birdman, and, this is a community of people that no matter what you do, how much money you make, how famous you might be, we took care of each other. And I didn't know that. I did not know that. So it was it began to feel good. It first was really weird. And there was no way I could do it, because I was used to getting, like, slammed in the face if I ever asked for something. So, not literally, but just for people out there, I wasn't physically abused. So it just began to feel really nice, and it felt okay then for me to ask someone to do something for me.
I love what you say in your chapter in the book, which it's called "It Really Does Take a Village" by Karen Strauss. I love what you say that you went from feeling guilty, right, to feeling grateful and appreciative. And then as you read further, I see that you're saying, I was so grateful. And this is something that I think that people maybe don't realize about their journey with any type of disease, of cancer, or anything that can stop us in our tracks. Right? We're going 100 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden we hit a brick wall. We got to hit a brick wall. We got to just stop and slow down. And what I'm gaining from your chapter is this beautiful sense of gratefulness. I mean,
oh yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, not that you're grateful for having the breast cancer, but there's gratefulness in the journey that you have with this.
There's no question, and I'm a big advocate of waking up every morning and expressing your gratitude. Just saying, instead of starting I used to wake up every morning and the first words out of my mouth were, "Oh shit." And I have no idea why I did that. I really don't. It was very weird. It was so well, I then started catching myself and saying, okay, I can't be doing that. I can't be starting my day going, "Oh shit," when I don't even know what's wrong. So I had a lot of hours, doing chemo, and 4 hours every other week, and you then begin to think about. You look around the room, all the friends that came to visit me. You look around and you say, you know what? I do have a lot to be grateful for. And the more I practiced gratitude, and I do this every single day, it puts you in a whole different headspace.
Totally. Right.
Right?
Yes. I that gratitude, it seems to be too that it's not contagious, but it sends out an energy. And it doesn't matter, again, it doesn't matter what your health status is. That feeling of gratitude seems to me to bring more things that we're grateful for. It just
exactly
puts out that energy. And it gives you a mindset as well. Tracey, I was wondering, Tracey Ehman, I was wondering if you had that same experience, or maybe a little bit of a spin on that gratefulness, or that gratitude of going through what you had gone through.
Oh, definitely. I mean, gratitude is so important. I didn't quite start my day the way that Karen did, but yes, gratitude, a smile. I mean, it's amazing what a smile will do for somebody. With this book, pulling together these incredible authors, the idea is that when you're sitting there hooked up to a machine, if that's the path you choose to take for your treatment, and you looking at the entertainment books really just doesn't give you that feeling of gratitude. It kind of gives you that feeling of like, oh, how come my life isn't like that, right? Like, I wish I had those concerns, or whatever it might be. So just feeling grateful for every day, and reminding yourself. I mean, we all get hit with things nonstop as we move through our lives, and to just be able to pull yourself back and go, okay, what am I grateful for today? Like, what went really well that I didn't expect to, and what can I expect tomorrow? And just putting it out there, that energy and that mindset is so phenomenal in making the best case of a bad situation, really.
Oh, completely. And I've spoken with many cancer survivors, and they have that similar type experience where there is a gratitude, not necessarily for what's happening to them physically, but that they're also for that time being that they're stopping and they're appreciating things too that they took for granted. The simple thing of being able to get in your car and go to the beach, or take a walk, go take a walk at the beach. All of a sudden, that has so much more meaning than when we're quote unquote, healthy and busy, having a busy life. It's like those little moments, those hearing a bird outside your window, all of a sudden is just this magnificent beautiful, like a miracle, right? Because of what we're facing.
It is
yeah.
true. Can I just interrupt for a second?
Yes, Kim.
So when you were saying appreciation, it's really true. I actually have two friends diagnosed with very, very serious cancer, and both of them are insistent that they want to write. One of them is a writer. She's a beautiful writer, and what she wants to do is get the message out, and she wants her voice heard in a lot of different ways, and she really wants to tell people about her experience because of she didn't know anything about the BRCA gene, for instance. She didn't know what it was, and neither did I actually until I got breast cancer, and they said, "Do you want to be tested?" And I said, "What's that?" And so, for those who don't know, the BRCA gene it tests you to see if you have inherited a gene from anybody in your family that makes you more prone to cancer.
Oh, what?
So,
it's called the BRCA?
Yeah.
What?
BRCA.
BRCA.
BRACCA, I believe, right, Tracey?
Yeah, I'd have to look up the actual acronym, but I think that's pretty close. And the way that you pronounce it is how people do say it. Yes.
Yeah. So who knew? And we actually tested this out with a young friend of ours who I said, "Have you ever heard of the BRCA gene?" She said, "No, I have no idea. What is that?" And it's astounding to me that it's an easy blood test. And if you do have cancer in your family, if your mother had breast cancer or your sister, your aunt or whatever had ovarian, you need to be tested right away because people, you then would then have the opportunity to have a hysterectomy or to have your breast removed proactively, because if you have the BRCA gene, you get there's a 70% chance that you will get cancer. So these are things to check out, and we are not told that. And my friend Melody wants to really make that known to the world.
Yeah, it's called the BRCA, and that's why the BRCA.
Okay.
But BRCA mutations. I've just looked this up at on cancer.gov, and that they say that it is it's something that's relatively easy, and Medicare covers, I believe. So there's no excuse for that.
My insurance covered it. Most insurances will cover it. Probably more so, they will cover it if you actually have cancer. I don't know about prior to that, but if you have cancer in your family, it's what's the price of your life worth?
Right, right. Yeah, it's interesting because I've never heard. You're the first person. Now we're sharing this with other people through this podcast, so other people were going to be learning about this as well, and seeing if they can take that test. Tracey, I was wondering too if you can tell us a few of the other stories in the book, The Silver Lining of Cancer. 13 courageous women share their inspirational stories after a life-changing diagnosis. If there are, I'm sure every single one of the women that participated in this book that wrote a chapter have their own very unique stories, but are there some that come to mind to you that are worth mentioning as well, to give our listeners an idea of their story?
That's really hard to say, as far as like I can't choose whose story
Right.
is bigger than someone else's. You know what I mean? Because each of our stories are all unique, and yet there's some similarities in it. And you're talking about, with the BRCA, and we definitely have one of our authors talk about that and how it, how important it is. Like, that's one of the things that she wants to get out there is like your friend Karen, is that, if people just got tested, they at least would know. And knowing is so much better than not knowing, because at least you can take action when you know.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
you can be proactive. Correct.
Yeah. One of our authors shares a beautiful story about her mother and how she just exuded this brilliance and this love and this compassion, and how that impacted her life. Another lady got diagnosed in her early 30s and ended up not only fighting cancer, but ending up with a transfusion, bone marrow transplant, and then she ended up having to also get lung transplants because your body plays funny tricks on you along the way. It's just crazy. So there's a lot of different stories within the pages, and we really feel that when you pick it up and you're going to open the book, it's going to be the story that you're going to need to read right now.
I would love
right.
to.
And
go ahead.
there are different aspects too. So some women followed the traditional route, and other women chose to do something else, something, to use alternative methods.
That was my question. That was my next question is, were there a variety of different treatments that the women had? I know that both Karen and Tracey, both you had undergone, you both did chemo and surgery?
Yes, we did.
Yes. Okay.
Right. And radiation.
And radiation.
Tracey did.
Yeah.
I did too. Yep. I was going to kill those damn buggers.
Me too. Out.
But there are others that actually that did, they chose some different routes as well.
Yes, like either completely or in combination.
Correct.
With
mm-hmm.
The sort of regular medical options. One of our incredible authors talks about tapping and how that really helped her take back control of her body and get rid of the negative energy that was impacting her. And then there's healing with love is another one of our stories where just once again mindset and looking, really taking control of sort of whether what it is that you put in your body. Like there's a lot of information within here. These are people's whose stories who have actually been there and done that, and one of them you're going to feel in tune with.
Yeah, that's what I love about it, is that there's the variety of approaches and perspectives, and in each chapter has their voice. It's not someone writing about them. It's their story. It's their voice. It's like, this is what happened to me. Karen was saying how she just she bolted out of the double doors. I saw her when she wrote that, and I was reading that. I was like, I saw her take off out of that hospital, right? I saw her just go, and I could see the phone ringing, repeat. Oh, well, there's nothing worse than when there's somebody calling you that you do not really want to talk to, and and that phone number and what it is, and you're like, oh, I just don't want to pick it up. So that's so powerful for people, and I really want to encourage folks to get this book, and not only for themselves if they're going through this, but also for a loved one if they're going through it. I would love to have someone like Oprah buy a bunch of these copies and put them in every single doctor's office, just so that instead of reading those horrible Us magazines or National Enquirer, they can pick this up and read The Silver Lining of Cancer.
Yeah. Well, the next time I'm visiting my oncologist, which is soon, I'm bringing a bunch of books.
Good.
To them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
I think handing them out to everybody in the lobby. So.
Because imagine, you know what it's like to be diagnosed with this and to go, what the what am I going to do?
Scary.
So to have that resource, to have that book there, or to have, this as a resource for anyone going through it, not just women, but for anyone that's going through this, it would be so valuable. And right there, it helps in the healing as well, just to know that you're not alone and to know that there's others and that they've tried different types of treatments. My question I wanted to ask you, since you had both done the chemo, when you were on the chemo treatment, and I know it makes you just feel horrific, just feel really, really bad. I wanted to know what you did individually to make yourself feel better. Were there things that, I think Karen alluded to, possibly medical marijuana, perhaps?
Alluded? Okay.
alluded.
That's the way to put it.
Just I wanted to know because people have different ways of dealing with with pain and dealing with something that makes you feel so sick like chemotherapy. But would you like to share what you did during those times to get through it all? Let's start with Karen, the medical marijuana lady,
The
pot
smoker.
Yeah, let's start with you, Karen.
Great. So I actually did a number of things. There was this wonderful organization near me that offered free services for women who were going through cancer treatments. And so they offered Reiki and acupuncture,
Oh, wow.
massage. It was amazing. And a nutritionist. And I took advantage of all of those things. I love acupuncture, and I'm a big advocate.
Me too.
It
I love
puts you right. Yeah, it puts you in alignment. It makes you feel a little zen. So I definitely did that. And the nutritionist was awesome because she spoke about, that's kind of when I became organic, that I really understood the poisons that I was putting into my mouth, and learned the importance of mushrooms, how they do fight cancer cells and free radicals and all of that. So she taught me a lot, and she taught me some breathing exercises, and the one that I still do to this day is like you intake your breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you go. I am, and it's like you breathe in and then breathe out. What you're breathing out is, I am fine. And you're breathing in and out. And it's, breathing control is an amazing way to relax yourself in about 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It's extremely powerful.
Yeah. And the other thing that I did was it's an exercise called gyrotonic, and it's not everywhere. It's similar to Pilates, but it strengthens your core. But I had this most amazing teacher, and gyrotonic is an exercise. It's a stretching exercise where there are no excuses. I went every week or twice a week while I was going through my treatments. And so I was also being able to be strong and working on my core and my muscles, stretching and be flexible while I was going through the treatments, which in effect helped me get through the chemo without much of a problem.
Mm. And Tracey, what about you?
Well, I wish I would have heard some of the things that Karen had at her disposal. But yeah, you know what? Breathing, meditation. I was doing like the box breathing. You kind of like inhale up to 8 and then count to hold your breath for 4 and then back down, so that you kind of like create this box to sort of make myself a little bit calmer. Lots and lots of water. Like what I found, having the treatment, was that you really got dehydrated. So you needed to make sure that you're hydrated, and whatever that looked like for you. As far as, I look back, and as far as pain and stuff, it was just more uncomfortable. And I really kind of relied on the mindset, okay, what was I going to do? So, I finished a ball tournament, got surgery 2 days later. Nobody knew about it. I still went, away for the summer. I came back. I did my treatments, and in between, I never changed one plan. I still made it to the New Year's party. My last chemo was on December the 29th. So basically, 72 hours later, I should have been still down and out, but I was determined to go to the New Year's party because, damn it, I was celebrating that was over and I was starting anew with a new year. So, for me, it was just really trying to really concentrate on the positive and the gratitude and the mindset that helped me kind of get through when it wasn't so fun.
Exactly. Well, and this kind of leads to my next question. since you've gone through this, and since also you have worked so closely with other women who have gone through this, what are some other maybe resources that are available? And because we were talking about the personal things that we do, if it's meditation or if it's acupuncture or if it's, like you said, flooding your cells with the water, the positive affirmations and things like that. But were you able to find other resources out there for support, either organizations or anything that was online or other publications that you found really helped you on this journey?
Well, there was, I think, Karen, they have that here near you too. Is it look good, feel better?
That's what I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
Look good, feel better. Yeah.
Yeah, and having what I found is that at the hospital or around in the local area, there definitely is, because it's so awful, really, that there are so many people that are dealing with cancer, but there's so many support groups out there. So the support groups are amazing. There's yoga studios that would maybe be concentrating a little bit more on people that are needing that type of healing, and being very aware of maybe what kind of surgery you might have had, or where things might be a little different than just for an average person going to a class. There's so many resources, and really what we want to do on the website is start to collect those and make it a place for people to be able to potentially at least know where to start searching.
I think that's
Right,
great.
because one of the things that my breast surgeon said, she said, don't start searching the internet because you're going to freak out. And she said you're going to be just crazy, and there's a lot of bad information. And she says, so the American Cancer Society and Susan G. Komen. And she said those are the only two websites you're allowed to look at. So, but I just wanted to also elaborate on Tracey's look. I was trying to remember it. Look Good, Feel Better was an organization for people with cancer. You go, and actually all of these big companies like Revlon and L'Oreal and other, they donate all of this makeup and various hair products and so on and so forth. And so you spend a night with these people who train you how to put on, if you have no eyebrows, I lost all of my eyebrows. The good news was I lost all of my hair on my chin and my lip. That was cool. And do you know the very first hair that came back was a damn hair on my lip. That was so annoying. So, but this was an amazing organization that just made you feel pretty. It made you feel feminine, and it made you feel like, this is the kind of lotion I should put on my skin, because you do get incredibly dehydrated, as Tracey mentioned before. And so hydrating your skin, drinking water, popsicles are a great thing to buy. Keep it in your freezer so you'll always be hydrated. So that kind of thing. But if you look in your local, Susan G. Komen and other places will have local organizations that might even help clean your house, deliver food to you. So, it depends on where you live.
I would think too, especially that there has to be a lot of extra pressure on those that have children too, because it's one thing to, if you have your own life, if you're living alone, and doing the things that need to be done, whatever that is, cleaning the house or having food prepared for you when you're really just feeling just so nauseous. But when you have children, especially also those single parents or single mother who has children, small children, the pressure that would be on them, I would think, would be quite immense. Now, Tracey, you have two children, but you have a husband as well. Who was he able to sort of not play your role? Nobody can replace you, but can kind of pick up the pieces a bit and
Oh, yeah.
make sure that they were taken care of?
Yes. I mean, and they were 10 and 14 at the time. But yes, my husband's a really good cook too, so that
Oh,
was good. Considering I wasn't maybe eating some days, but everybody else was eating well. Well,
Well, as we get ready to wrap up, I wanted just to give the floor to both of you and have you just let our listeners know, especially if you want to send a message out directly to women who have just recently been diagnosed, and then I'm gonna at the very end I'm gonna give them all your contact information to how to get the book and get to the website. But if you have any particular message that you would like to send out to those who have been recently diagnosed with cancer and their heads are just spinning right now because they don't really know what's ahead of them in the future, let's start off with Karen, if you don't mind.
sure. So I would just say, believe me, I know it's going to be a very dizzying, crazy time. You go through denial and grief and anger and, all of those things. I would stress, find, if you have a husband, a partner, a best friend, really grab onto that person to help you through this journey. It will make it so much easier that you're gonna have a partner in crime, so to speak, to develop a plan of attack. I do think it's a good idea to get at least a second opinion, so that that you want people to agree, and you want to find a doctor that is compatible with you. So one of the oncologists that I interviewed scared the bejesus out of me, and so he was like based on fear, and I didn't want to feel fear every time I walked in. So right, so I needed more touchy feely guy, and so it's that kind of thing. Find a doctor that fits your personality, that also obviously has credentials. But that's what I would say is find good people around you, get the toxicity out of your life, and surround yourself with good people and self-care, and take very good care of yourself. Now is the time you need to be a little bit selfish and take care of yourself.
Ah, that's beautiful. Tracey, what about you? What would you like to let our listeners know?
well, that was beautiful, Karen, and I agree, with everything that you said there. I want listeners to know that they're not alone. You may feel alone when you get a diagnosis. You might feel like you're the only person in the world. Know that there are people out there that hear you, that know what you've gone through or what you're about to go through, and they want to help. There's so many people out there that want to help. So like Karen said, ask people for what you need from them. Um, be very cognizant of what you need, and don't worry so much about how it's going to impact other people at this point. Worry about you. That self-care is really, really important. And yeah, ask questions. Initially it's really hard, and always take someone with you if you can, because they'll hear more than you probably will. But once you have some time to digest the information, ask questions. Like, if there's anything that just doesn't make sense to you or you want more clarity on, ask questions, because this is your life, and you have the right to make the decision on what's next and how you're going to deal with things. So the more information you have at your fingertips, the better the decision will be for you.
I love that. I love with both of you saying too, yes, ask questions. And if you're not feeling comfortable with a particular doctor or a particular form of treatment or the way that they're treating you or talking to you, that you have the power to go find someone else too. If you're not, because so much of us we're like a deer in headlights, right? When we were diagnosed with something, we're just in shock, and it's really important for people to take that control and that responsibility as well. With their health. So thank you so much for those those wonderful words. So I could keep talking to you forever. You're both wonderful. So if people
we'll go on too. We can too. We're the Women's Speakers Association, for God's sake.
If people want to find out more information, what's the best way for them to find out about the book and about you two?
Probably the best place to go to is thesilverliningofcancer.com. Not only will there be some links to both of our individual bios and access to us through our individual websites, but there's also an opportunity to purchase a book from there. We invite people to that. I've been getting emails and people wanting to order a book direct from me that is signed with a personalized message to their loved one, the girlfriend that maybe just got diagnosed. So definitely welcome that opportunity to be able to provide that.
Yeah.
And we will be adding more opportunities. You're talking about, having somebody like Oprah or Ellen buy these books and put them in the waiting rooms. And that's ultimately our goal, is to get them in the waiting rooms in the hands of people that need them. So, we're looking at doing some fundraising that can actually help make that happen in the near future as well.
Well, it's happening. It's definitely happening because I already saw it and I said it. There we go.
Awesome.
Tracey,
the power of Christine.
That's right. Tracey, Ehman, and Karen Strauss, I want to just thank you so very much for being with us today, and for sharing your stories, and for also giving so much hope to women that we'll never meet, but they're going to be impacted by this program. And I just want to thank you so very much, and I wish you all the best of luck with The Silver Lining of Cancer. Again, this is a phenomenal book for anyone who is not only experiencing it themselves, but also a family member. If you know of someone, please check it out. It's thesilverliningofcancer.com. You can go there. You can get a copy. You can also get a signed copy as well. And also you can just go on Amazon and get it if you like. It's not a problem either.
Right.
Again, I want to thank you two so very much. And I want to remind our listeners, this program, if you've been moved by it, if you feel that this would help someone that you love and care for, please make sure that you share it. You can share the YouTube video. It's really easy to share on your social media, in emails, in text messages. It's super easy to do that. But also you can subscribe to this program on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, you name it. You can subscribe to it, and you can also have access to this program. But I highly recommend the YouTube video because it's so easy to share and people will listen to it. So thank you so very much, ladies. I just love and adore you, and I love and adore my wonderful listeners. As always, I want to remind you to think outside of that damn box. Until next time, bye for now.